From spitting in the direction of fans to throwing tantrums over the color of his towel, there's a lot that Nick Kyrgios has done that doesn't sit right with the masses. But is that all? Nope. Today, let's dive into why everyone hates Nick Kyrgios. Did you know fans aren't the only ones who don't like this guy? There are many tennis players who've had enough of him. Take Stan Wawrinka, for instance. The man absolutely despises the Aussie, and he has all the reason to do it. I mean, do you remember the kind of stuff Nick said to Stan in front of global television? This one time, while they were in the middle of a match on the court, Nick thought trash talking would be the way to get into Stan's head. And so he thought it appropriate to call out to his opponent saying, "Kokonakis banged your girlfriend. Sorry to tell you that, mate." Ouch.
Actually care about your well-being will stand up for you, and I just did that. I felt like it was necessary, and obviously that was more important than anything that I'd said previously or done previously. I went against my words and stood up for him in front of my country. And that's not, that wasn't easy for me either.
But he did face his fair share of consequences. The ATP fined the player $25,000 and banned him from participating in any ATP sanctioned tournament for 28 days due to the offensive comment. The comment was so vile that apparently Stan went to the locker room after the match to confront Nick for what he'd said. Later, Stan tweeted saying that he was super disappointed someone of Nick's level would say stuff like that. He also added that he could have never imagined that the Aussie would say something like that. And he wasn't the only one offended by the disgusting comment. The Croatian tennis player Dana Vekic was also super disappointed. It's no wonder that she hates him too. After all, he did drag her name through the mud as well when he made that comment.
Yeah, she's by far, I watched her in Dubai recently. She seems to be like a class above, anyone right now. But, the women's game is definitely, there's a lot of more young, exciting players coming through as well, which is good, but yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Stan's beau back then was Dana. After Nick Kyrgios' remark, Dana Vekic slammed the Aussie for hurting tennis's reputation. After she heard the remark, she supposedly had a hard time retaining her composure. While she said it has been challenging, she has been trying to keep her mind on tennis and her next match. Vekic said that she had not been in contact with Kyrgios, like she didn't even want to talk to him. That's how much she hated him back then. She said it was unfortunate that such a thing is happening in the sport, and she hoped it wouldn't happen again for the sake of the sport's reputation. Anyway, they're not alone in the Nick-hating club. There are some tennis players who used to be his best friends, and even they are done with their stunts. Take Stefanos Tsitsipas, for instance. Although they may have been tennis buddies as kids, their friendship has since crumbled. These two played one of the hottest matches on the center court at Wimbledon some time ago.
I don't know what to say. I'm not sure how I bullied him. He was the one hitting balls at me. He was the one that hit a spectator. He was the one that smacked it out of the stadium. I didn't do anything. I was actually apart from me just going back and forth to the umpire a fair bit, I did nothing towards Stefanos today that was disrespectful. I don't think.
The Australian player defeated Tsitsipas for the fourth time in 5 meetings, but it wasn't the match that stayed in the minds of the viewers. Nope, a verbal exchange between the two tennis players during and after the match overshadowed the actual game. Tsitsipas was impressed by the crowd and the level of play, but he was irritated by a number of other incidents that took place throughout the match. In fact, things got so bad that once during the match he couldn't help himself from calling it a circus. The Greek continued by saying that the Aussie's behavior consists mostly of bullying. He was so agitated that he even went as far as assuming that maybe Kyrgios used to be one of those kids in school who would bully others. He made it clear he had no tolerance for bullies or anybody who would demean another person. As Stefanos pointed out, Nick has both positive and negative characteristics. But according to the Aussie's ex-friend, Kyrgios has a pretty evil side to his personality. Stefanos has also said publicly that Nick has no filter, which often lands him in trouble. Plus, did you know that the Australian had a feud with our Serbian king as well? Yep, he isn't on good terms with Novak Djokovic either. His feud with Noli started way back in 2019, and he had some pretty lethal words for the Serbian. Now, I kinda get why Stefanos said that thing about no filter. Anyway, here's what he said. Kyrgios criticized many other great players, including Rafael Nadal, but singled out Novak Djokovic for special criticism. The Australian Australian said that Novak has a strange obsession with wanting to be liked, and that didn't sit right with him. And then, if that wasn't enough, he even added that Noli's obsessed with wanting to be like Federer. He said that this whole people-pleasing thing agitated him so much that at times he just can't stand the Serbian. In fact, he got a little carried away and even called the way Noli celebrated cringeworthy. These remarks were made in May 2019, over 2 years after their previous encounters at Indian Wells and Acapulco, both of which the Aussie won. And ever since then, there has been some animosity between the two, even though they pretend like they've sorted it all out. Sometimes the hostile energy between them is downright awkward. A lot of fans would also agree with the players when it comes to not liking the Aussie. And to be honest, he has done some pretty mean things to fans as well. Like this one time, he spat in the direction of a fan, and it was super disrespectful. The Australian tennis player caused a stir some time back. Apparently, he allegedly spat at a spectator who had been verbally assaulting him during his first-round match at Wimbledon. After defeating British player Paul Jubb in 5 sets, 3-6, 6-1, 7-5, 6-7, 7-5, the 27-year-old Kyrgios turned to the spectator and spat in his direction after sealing the deal. And then he blatantly agreed to do it. Once the match was over, he said that the person had come not to enjoy the match, but only to cause trouble. And so, since their intentions weren't pure, he was not ashamed of doing what he did. Wow, the audacity. And the worst part is, he has a pattern of lashing out.
And I was right there. So confidence, obviously, it was a hell of an occasion. Not easy to, people probably were expecting me to have,
For instance, there was this time he got a fan thrown out. In Nick's defense, she was drunk and making comments which distracted him. But the way he went about it was super mean. Right in the middle of the match, he turned to the chair umpire and asked him to remove the woman who looked like she had 700 drinks. Hey, his words, not mine. She was removed from the match, but she was so upset that she literally took him to court later. He ended up settling with the woman and even donated 20,000 pounds to a charity she picked. And he had to apologize as well. Yikes, looks like there's a lesson for Nick. Anyway, not everyone gets their revenge. Sometimes line boys and the officials just have to take his tantrums, which is why they hate him too. This one time, he was literally only 12 minutes into the game when he lost his cool. He kinda crossed the line that day when he called the line judge a snitch. Nick even went as far as saying that she had no fans, and that's why she was so salty. Does this guy fear no one? And as if that wasn't insulting enough, he even added that not one person in the court came to watch her. The audience pretty much had enough of his outbursts, and they ended up booing him and his tantrums. There was also a time when he got pissed at the line boys and the umpire for bringing him the wrong towel. Do you believe this guy? Anyway, that's all I had for you today on why everyone hates Nick Kyrgios.